Behind the glamour of old Hollywood lay a world built on silence, fear, and carefully guarded secrets. Some of the biggest stars smiled for the cameras while hiding lives they could never reveal. Forbidden love, hidden identities, and stories buried for decades are finally coming to light. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on legendary's Hollywood icons, whose greatest performances may have happened long after the cameras stopped rolling. Number 1. Walter Pidgeon. For decades, Walter Pidgeon was seen as the perfect Hollywood gentleman. He was respected, twice married, and carefully protected by the glamorous image of the Golden Age. But according to Scotty Bowers, the former gas station attendant, who later claimed to arrange secret encounters for celebrities, Pidgeon had a very different private life. Bowers alleged that their connection began at a gas station on Hollywood Boulevard, where the actor was not just looking for fuel. In his memoir Full Service, Bowers claimed Pidgeon became a regular client and quietly helped introduce other stars to the same underground world. These stories remain controversial because they are difficult to prove, especially since most people involved had already passed away. Still, they shocked many readers because they exposed the possibility of a Hollywood where public romance, marriage, and masculinity were often carefully manufactured. What makes Pidgeon's story so mysterious is that he never confirmed anything himself. He left behind a polished career, a respectable public image, and a cloud of unanswered questions. Maybe it was truth. Maybe it was Hollywood legend. But either way, his name became tied to one of the most fascinating secrets of old Hollywood. Number 2. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo did not need to shout to become a legend. She only had to look into the camera, stay silent, and the whole world leaned closer. When she arrived in America at just 20 years old, Hollywood quickly turned her into one of its most mysterious goddesses. Men adored her studios, protected her, and newspapers chased every whisper about her private life. But Garbo was not built for the circus of fame. The more people wanted to know her, the more she disappeared behind a wall of silence. Behind that icy screen image, Garbo was rumored to have loved both men and women. Her name was linked to powerful and glamorous figures, including Marlene Dietrich, while several men reportedly begged her to marry them. But Garbo never played by Hollywood's rules. She did not give the press the scandal they wanted, and she did not offer the public a neat love story they could understand. Instead, she gave them nothing. And somehow, that made the mystery even bigger. Then, at only 35, she walked away from the movies as if fame itself had become a prison. No wedding, no children, no final confession, just a long life lived far from the spotlight until her death in 1990. Some called her cold, others called her lonely. But maybe Greta Garbo simply understood something Hollywood hated to admit. Sometimes the only way to survive a world obsessed with owning you is to vanish before it can swallow you whole. Number 3. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift had everything Hollywood could ask for. He was handsome, talented, mysterious, and adored by millions. Yet while other stars embraced the spotlight in Los Angeles, Clift chose to live in New York, keeping his private life as far away from Hollywood gossip as possible. Fans were captivated by his unforgettable chemistry with Elizabeth Taylor, and magazines constantly fueled rumors that the two were destined to become a real-life couple. But behind the scenes, Clift was protecting a secret that in the 1950s could have ended his career overnight. Many historians and biographers believe Clift was attracted to both men and women, although he rarely spoke about his personal life. Those close to him claimed he lived under enormous pressure, carefully hiding his relationships while trying to satisfy the image Hollywood expected him to maintain. Then everything changed in 1956 when he survived a horrific car crash that left his face badly injured. The accident permanently altered his appearance, his confidence, and eventually his career. As leading roles became harder to find, Clift struggled with alcohol and prescription drugs, creating a downward spiral that seemed impossible to escape. The tragedy of Montgomery Clift was never just about the accident. It was about a gifted actor forced to fight battles the public could never see. While audiences admired the characters he portrayed on screen, few realized how much pain he carried once the cameras stopped rolling. In 1966, Clift died of a heart attack at only 45 years old, leaving behind a remarkable legacy and one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking stories. His life remains a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest performances happen off-screen, where no applause can ease the loneliness. Number 4. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck spent more than 6 decades building one of the most remarkable careers in Hollywood, earning a reputation as one of the toughest and most respected actresses of her generation. On screen, she played fearless women who refused to follow society's rules. Off-screen, however many believed, she was forced to do exactly that. Throughout her career, rumors about her sexuality followed her everywhere, yet she never publicly confirmed or denied them. In an era when even suspicion could destroy a career, silence became her greatest shield. Although Stanwyck married twice and adopted a son, many Hollywood insiders believed those relationships helped maintain the image expected of a leading actress at the time. The speculation only intensified after she portrayed the lesbian character Jo Courtney in the 1962 film Walk on the Wild Side, one of the earliest Hollywood movies to feature an openly lesbian character. When writer Bose Hadley reportedly questioned her about her own sexuality years later, Stanwyck was said to have ended the interview immediately and asked him to leave her home. Whether the story is completely accurate remains debated, but it only added another layer to the mystery surrounding her private life. Unlike many Hollywood scandals, Barbara Stanwyck never tried to explain herself. She allowed the rumors to exist while focusing entirely on her work, earning countless awards and the admiration of generations of actors. She passed away in 1990 at the age of 82, taking whatever truth she carried with her. Perhaps that was her final act of independence. In a town obsessed with knowing every secret, Barbara Stanwyck made sure the biggest one remained her own. Number 5. Marilyn Monroe. The world's greatest sex symbol may have been hiding the biggest secret in Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe was every man's fantasy, the blonde bombshell who seemed to have the perfect life, endless admirers, and irresistible charm. But behind the dazzling smile was a woman haunted by loneliness, childhood trauma, and constant emotional pain. According to numerous biographies and long-standing Hollywood rumors, Monroe often found greater comfort in the company of women than men. While studios sold her as the ultimate heterosexual dream, whispers behind closed doors painted a very different picture. Over the years, Monroe's name was linked to several famous women, including actress Joan Crawford and Marlene Dietrich. Although many of these stories have never been conclusively verified. What is well documented is that she fiercely guarded her private life and struggled with relationships throughout her career. Some biographers have also suggested that physical and emotional difficulties made intimacy with men increasingly complicated, while she reportedly felt safer expressing herself around women she trusted. In an industry where one scandal could destroy a career, revealing her true feelings was simply not an option. As her fame reached unimaginable heights, her personal life quietly fell apart. Depression, failed marriages, dependence on prescription drugs, and relentless public pressure slowly pushed Monroe toward the edge. Then, in 1962, the brightest star in Hollywood was suddenly gone at just 36 years old. Officially ruled a probable suicide, her death remains surrounded by mystery and endless speculation. Decades later, Marilyn Monroe is remembered not only as an icon of beauty, but as a tragic woman who may have spent her entire life performing a role the world demanded while hiding the person she truly was. Number 6. Spencer Tracy. To the public, Spencer Tracy was the definition of a devoted family man. He was married, had children, won 2 Academy Awards, and built a reputation as one of Hollywood's greatest actors. But behind the cameras, another story refused to disappear. For decades, rumors circulated that the legendary star had secret relationships with men while carefully protecting the image the studios wanted the world to see. If those rumors were true, Tracy spent much of his life playing his most difficult role himself. One of the most controversial claims came from Scotty Bowers, who alleged that Tracy was among the many famous actors seeking discreet encounters through his underground network. Bowers also insisted that Spencer Tracy's legendary romance with Katharine Hepburn was less of a real love story and more of a carefully managed arrangement designed to satisfy Hollywood's strict expectations. These claims remain disputed and have never been conclusively proven, but they continue to fuel debate among film historians because they challenge one of the most celebrated romances in movie history. Whether the rumors were true or not, one fact is impossible to ignore. Spencer Tracy struggled with alcoholism for much of his adult life, battling personal demons while carrying the enormous pressure of being one of Hollywood's biggest stars. He died in 1967 at the age of 67, leaving behind an extraordinary career and a mystery that has never been fully solved. For millions, he will always be remembered as a legendary actor. For others, he remains one of old Hollywood's greatest unanswered questions. Number 7. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn was fearless on screen and unforgettable off it. She broke Hollywood's rules by wearing trousers, speaking her mind, and refusing to behave like the typical leading lady. While audiences admired her independence, rumors about her private life followed her throughout her career. Many believed she was attracted to women, but in an era when such revelations could end a career, silence was often the safest choice. Her decades-long relationship with Spencer Tracy became one of Hollywood's greatest love stories, yet some historians and writers have argued it was largely encouraged by the studios to protect both stars from damaging rumors. Those claims have never been conclusively proven, but they have remained part of old Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. Hepburn herself never publicly addressed the speculation, allowing the questions to linger long after the cameras stopped rolling. What makes Katharine Hepburn's story so fascinating is that no scandal ever overshadowed her extraordinary talent. She became one of the most celebrated actresses in film history, winning 4 Academy Awards while keeping her private life almost completely out of reach. Whether the rumors were true or not, she proved that some of Hollywood's biggest legends are remembered just as much for the secrets they kept as for the performances they gave. If Katharine Hepburn's incredible career and mysterious private life surprised you, leave a 7 in the comments and let us know what you think. Number 8. Clark Gable. To millions of fans, Clark Gable was the definition of masculinity. He was charming, confident, endlessly charismatic, and became one of the biggest box office stars in Hollywood history. Women adored him. Studios built entire marketing campaigns around his irresistible image, and his role in Gone with the Wind turned him into an international legend. But behind that carefully crafted reputation, rumors persisted that his rise to fame was far more complicated than anyone dared to admit. For decades, controversial claims have suggested that before becoming a superstar, Gable moved through Hollywood's hidden underground, where young, aspiring actors sometimes accepted money from wealthy clients. Author David Brett later alleged that Gable had participated in that secret world and spent the rest of his career trying to distance himself from it. Another long-standing story claimed Gable was uneasy when openly gay director George Cukor was originally hired to direct Gone with the Wind, fearing Cukor knew details about his early years. None of these allegations have ever been conclusively proven, but they have remained among old Hollywood's most controversial stories. Clark Gable never publicly responded to any of these rumors. Instead, he continued living the life audiences expected, marrying 5 times, becoming a father, and cementing his place as one of cinema's greatest icons. Whether the stories reflect hidden truth or decades of Hollywood mythology, they reveal just how carefully stars protected their images during the Golden Age. Sometimes the most unforgettable performance was not the one on the movie screen, but the life they presented to the world every single day. Number 9. Cary Grant. What if one of Hollywood's greatest heartthrobs had been living a double life the entire time Cary Grant was the man every woman dreamed of marrying? Handsome, elegant, endlessly charming, he walked down the aisle 5 different times and became one of the biggest romantic stars in movie history. Yet behind the dazzling smile was a mystery that refused to die. For more than a decade, Grant shared a mansion with fellow actor Randolph Scott, and their unusually close relationship sparked rumors that spread across Hollywood like wildfire. The two actors lived together for nearly 12 years at the famous Bachelor Hall mansion, even while marrying different women throughout that period. Officially, they insisted they were simply close friends sharing expenses. But Gossip magazine's studio insiders and later biographers questioned whether the truth was far more complicated. Some writers claimed the pair were deeply in love, but were forced to keep their relationship hidden because revealing it would have destroyed both careers. No definitive evidence has ever confirmed those claims, yet the speculation has survived for generations. Perhaps that is why Cary Grant remains one of old Hollywood's greatest enigmas. He spent his entire career projecting the image of the perfect leading man, while refusing to explain the whispers that followed him until the end of his life. Whether those rumors were reality or simply the product of Hollywood's relentless gossip machine, they transformed one of cinema's most beloved icons into a legend wrapped in mystery, proving that sometimes the most fascinating love story is the one the cameras were never allowed to film. Number 10. Marlene Dietrich. Long before Hollywood dared to talk about sexuality, Marlene Dietrich was already living a life that defied every rule. On screen, she was the glamorous femme fatale who captivated millions. Off-screen, she moved through Berlin's vibrant nightlife of the 1920s, where drag balls and same-sex relationships were far less hidden than they would later become in America. But once Hollywood transformed her into an international icon, that freedom came with a price. The studios expected a fantasy, not the real woman behind it. Although Dietrich married Rudolf Sieber and had a daughter, numerous biographers have written that she maintained romantic relationships with both men and women throughout her life. Her name has been linked to actresses, writers, and wealthy socialites, while rumors of an intimate relationship with Greta Garbo have fascinated fans for decades. Dietrich never seemed interested in fitting into society's expectations. Instead, she quietly lived life on her own terms, while allowing the public to believe whatever made them comfortable. That quiet rebellion became one of her greatest acts of courage. At a time when revealing the truth could end a career overnight, Marlene Dietrich continued building one of the most successful careers in entertainment, starring in more than 50 films and becoming a global legend. She never offered dramatic confessions or shocking interviews. Instead, she left behind something even more powerful, a legacy that suggested authenticity sometimes survives best when it refuses to ask for permission. Number 11. Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins terrified audiences as Norman Bates in Psycho, but the darkest secret in his life was never written into a screenplay. To the public, he was a devoted husband and father. Behind the scenes, however, his private life became the subject of intense speculation for years. According to Scotty Bowers, Perkins secretly sought relationships with men while carefully protecting the image Hollywood expected him to maintain. If true, he was living two completely different lives at the same time. Perkins married photographer Barry Berenson in 1973, and together they had two sons. Friends admired them as the picture-perfect family, yet rumors about his sexuality never completely disappeared. Those rumors grew louder after Perkins was diagnosed with HIV in the late 1980s, though he chose to keep his illness almost entirely private. Even as his health declined, he continued working, refusing to let the public see how serious his condition had become. When he died from AIDS-related pneumonia in 1992 at the age of 60, many fans were shocked because they had no idea he had been battling the disease. His death became one of the first major Hollywood losses to the AIDS epidemic, forever changing the conversation around the illness. Today, Anthony Perkins is remembered not only for creating one of cinema's most unforgettable villains, but also as a man who spent years carrying secrets that reflected the fear and stigma of his era. Behind the chilling smile of Norman Bates was a real person fighting battles far more frightening than anything ever shown on screen. Number 12. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford fought her way out of poverty to become one of the most powerful women in Hollywood, but the road to stardom was surrounded by rumors that never truly disappeared. Behind the glamorous gowns, dazzling premieres, and Academy Award-winning performances was a woman whose private life fascinated almost everyone around her. While studios promoted her as the perfect leading lady, Hollywood insiders whispered that Crawford's love life was far more daring than the public ever imagined. According to numerous biographies and long-standing Hollywood stories, Crawford was romantically linked to both men and women during her career. Some writers claimed she used relationships with influential studio executives to help advance her career, while others described her as someone who ignored society's expectations and pursued whoever attracted her. Her name has been connected to several famous actresses, including Marlene Dietrich, although many of those claims remain impossible to verify. Like many stars of the era, Crawford rarely addressed the gossip, allowing the mystery to grow larger with every passing decade. By the time her career reached legendary status, Joan Crawford had become much more than a movie star. She was a symbol of ambition, reinvention, and survival. Whether every rumor was true or simply part of Hollywood folklore, her story reveals how little the public often knew about the real people behind the silver screen. Even today, decades after her death, Joan Crawford remains one of old Hollywood's most fascinating and controversial icons, proving that some legends never stop making headlines. Number 13. Ramon Novarro. Before there was Clark Gable, there was Ramon Novarro. The handsome Mexican actor was one of Hollywood's very first international heartthrobs, adored by millions of female fans who dreamed of winning his heart. But behind the glamorous image of the silent film idol was a secret he could never safely reveal. According to numerous biographers, Novarro was gay and spent much of his life hiding his true identity in an industry that would have destroyed his career if the truth became public. Living a double life came at a heavy cost. Navarro struggled with alcoholism for years, and many historians believe the pressure of suppressing his sexuality contributed to his emotional battles. To protect his reputation, he reportedly arranged private meetings with men in complete secrecy, believing no one would ever discover what happened behind the doors of his mansion. Tragically, that search for privacy would lead to one of Hollywood's most horrifying crimes. In 1968, two brothers arrived at Navarro's home pretending to offer companionship, but their real intention was robbery. When they failed to find the fortune they believed was hidden inside the house, they brutally assaulted the aging actor, leaving him fatally injured. He died alone at the age of 69 in one of the most shocking murders in Hollywood history. The man once worshipped as the perfect romantic hero met a heartbreaking end, proving that behind the brightest spotlight can hide the darkest final act. Number 14. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was the ultimate symbol of masculine power. From a streetcar named Desire to The Godfather, he dominated Hollywood with a presence few actors could match. Women around the world fell in love with him, and his personal life became almost as legendary as his films. Married 4 times and the father of many children, Brando appeared to embody the image of the unstoppable Hollywood playboy. But according to Brando himself, that image revealed only part of the story. Unlike many stars of his era, Brando never completely denied being attracted to both men and women. In later interviews, he openly suggested that same-sex relationships were nothing unusual for him, shocking fans who had spent decades seeing him as the ultimate ladies' man. Over the years, rumors linked him to several famous men, including James Dean, while author and comedian Richard Pryor's widow later claimed Pryor had also been involved with Brando. Although some of these stories remain impossible to verify, they have become part of Hollywood's most talked-about legends. Brando never seemed interested in living by anyone else's rules. He challenged Hollywood, ignored expectations, and refused to apologize for the life he chose to live. That fearless attitude made him more than just one of the greatest actors in film history. It made him one of the most unpredictable and controversial stars the industry has ever known. Even today, decades after his greatest performances, Marlon Brando continues to fascinate audiences because no one ever knew where the legend ended and the real man began. Number 15. James Dean. James Dean became a legend with only 3 movies. His rebellious attitude, effortless charm, and unforgettable performances turned him into Hollywood's biggest young star almost overnight. Women adored him, photographers couldn't get enough of him. Yet behind the fame, rumors about his private life spread just as quickly as his success. For decades, many biographers have suggested that Dean was attracted to both men and women, though he never publicly confirmed those claims. Several people who knew Dean later described him as someone who refused to fit neatly into society's expectations. Some writers argued that the studios encouraged romantic publicity, with women to protect his image while his real relationships remained hidden from public view. Whether those stories were true or not, one thing was certain. James Dean lived at full speed both on and off the screen, with little concern for the consequences. His mysterious personality only made him more fascinating to fans around the world. Then, just as his career was taking off, everything ended in an instant. On September 30th, 1955, Dean crashed his brand-new Porsche 550 Spider on a California highway and died at only 24 years old. His shocking death transformed him from a rising actor into an immortal Hollywood legend. More than 70 years later, people are still searching for the truth about the man behind the icon, proving that James Dean's greatest mystery was never the way he died, but the life he never had the chance to fully live.